Happy Friday, Miami. This is Buy, Sell, Hold, a Miami real estate podcast from locals. We're going to give you a straight talk about what's going on in the marketplace. I'm Peter Zalewski. I'm a condo consultant. I'm also the founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. I'm here with my co-host, Daniel Hernandez from Compass Real Estate. He does single-family houses as well as condominiums. He's located over in Coconut Grove. Daniel, here is the baton. You moderate.
Thanks, Peter. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to everyone. This is episode 21. It is October the 10th, 2025. We are well into quarter four of the year. It's the end of the year. This is where things are supposed to pick up, guys, right? Really exciting time. A lot going on. If you watched the show last week, I think we had like an hour and 20-minute show. We had a lot to talk about, and we have a lot to talk about today. Bringing in quarter four, 21st episode, we have a special surprise for everyone. We have a guest. First guest ever, Peter. We got one.
First guest.
It's my old friend, my partner. One might say he even brought me into this business. Mr. David DeLeon. He's with Compass. He's got a group, the DeLeon Group. That's what I work under, in fact. And we're going to bring him on right now. What is happening, David DeLeon? What's up, man?
Thank you, guys. I love the song, by the way, Peter. I was telling Danny that it's beautiful.
Credit to my friend. He's a tech guy. He used to work for Lyft. He did a bunch of other stuff. He set up an AI music company. So anybody who's out there who maybe want to have their own song created, there's no copyright issues whatsoever, reach out to him. He'll set it up.
I think he puts a shameless plug on the overlay.
That was the quid pro quo.
I thought you guys hired a band to do a song.
You should hear Peter's for his other podcast, the Soca Music.
Yep, that's right. I asked him to do that, because it fit my personality so well with the white shirt.
So David, tell our loyal viewers who you are and why they should give a crap that you're on Buy, Sell, Hold Miami.
Well, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for bringing me on. As you know, Danny, I've been doing real estate for the last 10 years, South Florida. Now getting into some development stuff, Coconut Grove, Brickell, Coral Gables, looking at different projects throughout, but just basically selling real estate in South Florida. It's been a nice ride over the last 10 years.
So you've seen it. You've seen the trajectory over the last 10 years, and there was a bit of lull in like 2016, 2017, like when Paradiso was offering 10% on commission back. What was that? 2016, Peter?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, George Perez was hawking that stuff. Which, by the way, did you see they just sold the restaurant?
Yeah, they sold it to they sold it to Ravani.
Ravani keeps on. There's buyers, I guess, for restaurants. They sold the Catch one as well to actually Catch bought it. The operators of that bought it, so they own the real estate now. And yeah, I think he's got the Gecko one in Brickell. And then he has the Lila. So he's got a couple of places that he has to unload. And
I wonder if he's slowly. I mean, it's the crown jewel, right? Who's gonna take down the four ambassadors? And that's a whole topic for another show. But what's there, like 1,000 units in there?
If ever there's been a termination site, that's the termination site.
There's
no question,
right?
Yeah. And if anybody doesn't know what a termination is, whenever you go into a sales office, they're going to tell you. Say you go in there to buy, they're gonna be like, listen, this is the last piece of waterfront property. If you don't buy it, you'll never get another shot. Well, there's a little asterisk next to that because in Florida, you can recycle condos. You can take that condominium. They give you a 300-page declaration of condominium. You can rip it up and make it disappear. So don't believe that line. It's the last piece of waterfront property, which is what Ken Griffin did, I would argue, when he was proposing his $1 billion office tower, which is now supposed to be $2.5 billion. Talk about blowing a budget.
And he set the new timeline. He's breaking ground next summer, right? We're resetting the PZ clock, the Peter Zalewski clock for groundbreaking.
Ken Griffin from Citadel, this hedge fund manager, the guy's got more money than God, and he came down here in 2022. He said Miami's going to replace New York City as the financial capital of the United States, possibly even the world. Here we are. Fast forward. He hasn't built the office tower, which is supposed to be the symbolic movement, the shift from Wall Street down to South Florida. And he was supposed to put a shovel in the ground in Q3. I came out with a column. I said, no way in hell is Ken going to do it. He hasn't done it. And now he's added 9 months to his theoretical timeline. And what did he blame the delay on, Daniel? He blamed it on the fact that tariffs have gone up and the costs have gone up. So from $1 billion to 2.5. Talk about a Miami hustle.
Well, I mean, if ground beef has doubled, then, so should construction, right? But I don't want to get off track. We got to start the show. Everybody, this is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami. This is our format. Peter and I and David contributed to this as well. We throw around articles throughout the week, current events, news stories, what have you. And we picked 4 this week because we got David coming on board. We want to give him a platform. We want to give him a soapbox, right? So we got 4 topics this week. And at the end of each topic, we're either going to buy, sell, or hold. David, you got to participate in this too. So to kick it off, New York Post, not our favorite publication, but it's a publication nonetheless, published an article titled "$1 Million Won't Even Buy You a Luxury Home in America." Interesting. What is a luxury home? A luxury home is defined by anything over $1 million. Now, $1 million is still $1 million, but in Miami-Dade County, where the median home price is $640-ish thousand, it's still a lot of money. It's another 30%. So what does that say about the Miami market? Everybody's rah-rah about this 10 million plus market, but in reality, how many people, actual individuals, are purchasing $10 million plus homes? And what, David, I'm gonna toss the baton to you. What do you think about this?
I mean, in terms of, we know this, living in Miami, you can't find anything under $1 million in any area. It's completely changed. Condos, on the other hand, as we know, and Peter knows better than anyone, you could find great deals under $1 million, which I would consider luxury products. And that's because the oversupply that's come onto the market. You don't have that issue, especially in South Florida, with single family homes. There's still a shortage of supply, especially in that luxury market, 1 to 3 million. You really can't find anything in Coconut Grove, Coral Gables for, I would say, under 1.5 million right now. There's some pockets where maybe you could get a fixer upper for $1 million, but we wouldn't consider that really a luxury home, would we?
No, we wouldn't. And Peter, you've seen some data come out of the condo market. These 30-year vintage condos that you've been tracking, and week after week after week, Peter has the data points, and it's shown since about the end of August, 30-year plus, meaning vintage condos, we've actually sort of seen it fall off a bit of a cliff in terms of pricing, have we?
Yeah, I just put out a report today, 5 straight weeks of this index. We call it the South Florida Condo, Vintage Condo Financial Cliff Index. And we pegged it to January the 1st of this year when we launched it. Why? Because of legislation that went into place as a result of the Surfside disaster where 100 people died, nearly 100 people died, and $1 billion settlement was paid to all the families of the victims. So the pressure is on right now because insurance companies don't want to insure a building that theoretically could fall, could be a repeat of Surfside. So they put in place all this scrutiny, as well as you have to put money aside for reserves. So what's happening is all of it's kind of coming to a head, and all of the condo associations right now are starting to put together their budgets for the upcoming year. So they're being forced to incorporate higher maintenance fees, special assessments, as well as pricey insurance. And if anybody out there is watching, if you want to know about special assessment, here, let me give you a ballpark figure to run with. This is anecdotal. They have not yet completed all the studies, but here's anecdotal. 0 to 4 stories. If you go in a building 30 years or more, expect a $25,000 special assessment. If that goes from 5 to 14, $65,000 a door, and north of 15 stories, you're looking at $100,000 a door. You typically get 1 year to pay it. If you don't, the condo association can't foreclose. If the association decides to turn around and take out a loan, the interest rate is equivalent to what your mortgage would be. So what's happening now is you're seeing the pressure build, and the people who thought they were going to be optimistic, they were going to be able to dump. Some of them are pulling the ripcord, trying to get the hell out because they don't want to be the last rat on a sinking ship, which would be this, this older building.
So the affordable 30-year, or we're not going to call them affordable, we'll call them vintage. Those units were holding their value, and now it's coming down as a result of the realization that these budgets are, well, they're over budget, and they need to incur these special assessments. That's what you're saying. David, have you seen any instances where buyers are actually put to the fire and they're having to come up with the cash at closing, or are sellers paying these special assessments across the board?
No, I mean, that's all negotiable. They'll negotiate it into the price. at the end of the day, someone has to pay it. So what they'll do is just put a lower offer, have the seller pay, keep their mortgage lower, and then the seller puts the seller assessment at closing. But yeah, you see it both ways. I mean, even when the seller pays, it's really the buyer that's paying it in some way, or one or the other is paying, regardless. It's all negotiable.
And then
You know, and I
seeing,
would add to that. I'm sorry if I could add to that. So if you're a seller, what I want you to have in your head is when you get hit with a special assessment, you're going to try to sell. That is a haircut you're taking off your valuation. You get hit with a $65,000 special assessment. The buyer, most likely, because there's so much to choose from, growing supply, is probably going to ask you to sell her in order to cover the costs. So what I would suggest, and David and Daniel, you guys could push back if necessary. I would suggest if you want to get out in this market right now, you need to be bold with pricing. If you try to price it based on the competitive rate, you're going to get lost with everybody else in the mix. If you need to get out and you want to get out and what's coming, potentially pull the ripcord, get the hell out now, rather than sticking around and thinking that you're going to get more money in the future. Because what I've seen, you don't get more tomorrow, you get more today. It's kind of like the dollar. Every day the dollar is weaker and weaker. And I think that's the phase we're in right now. But I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree. I tend to lean bear right now.
No, that's exactly what I'm telling anyone that's selling a condo right now. You need to be at least 15% below. If you want to sell, obviously every situation is different. But if you really need to sell tomorrow, you need to be 15% below the last sale or anyone else that's out on the market for your same line. Because if not, it's just going to sit there. There's too much options to sit there. There's specific situations, depends the building and whatnot. But in general, all the buildings, there's oversupply, especially Brickell, Edgewater, the whole downtown area. You're seeing a lot of units in the same line for sale. So the way we've, first you got to get more creative marketing wise and all of that. And then, offer a price dictates everything at the end of the day. So no matter how pretty your pictures look, the prices are really going to move.
David, if I could, when did you notice the move? Remember back in the day during the pandemic, everybody was queuing up. They wanted to go into an open house and they were hoping that they would be the lucky one to overpay for a property. And then they celebrated. So when did you see it switch from, oh my God, I got to get this place, to suddenly I'm only buying based on price? Is that a recent occurrence, or is that something that's sort of been evolving over time? Is there a moment in time you can point to, like maybe Liberation Day tariffs? All of a sudden people had a change of opinion, or Jerome Powell at Federal Reserve cutting interest rates. All of a sudden they changed, they pivoted. Is there a moment in time you can kind of peg it to, from a chronological perspective?
I think there's a mix of things, right? And there's two different markets. There's the single family, which I still think in certain markets it's extremely strong. They're still overbidding for houses. I just saw a lot sell for over asking price in the Grove recently. There's houses selling at list price, townhouses selling at list price in Coconut Grove. There's bidding wars still in these markets. And I would say from that 1.5 million to 3.5 million, if they're priced right, they're selling. And so that's a completely different market. The condo market, at the beginning, all the New Yorkers and everyone that was coming down, they were living in condos. And there wasn't the oversupply that we're having now. Now we're having a lot more condos coming onto the market, right? You had Aston Martin come onto the market in the last few years. So all that supply that came onto the market mixed with everyone thinking that the market's just going to keep going up. And prices, they kept increasing their list price. That kind of those units sat on the market. Then more units came on the market, and then people were like, all right, there's enough for me to choose. I could really dictate my price, or I could negotiate. My negotiating power has increased. So I would say there hasn't been an exact point. I think over the last 3 years, we've just been seeing the negotiability from buyers go up. And it's not a seller's market as it was 3 years ago, at least for condos. For single family, I think we're not seeing lines out the door anymore like we were in 2022 and 2021. But it's still very strong.
So question, and per the topic on the rundown, in condos, and I know, David, you have a few listings right now on the MLS for just about $1 million. So what does $1 million get you today in the market in terms of condos, in terms of, and this is looking, extrapolating from Peter's data sets, because Peter will tell you what he thinks $1 million will get you, but I'm talking real world today. If I wanted to put in an offer, $1 million, can you got something in Brickell City Center, like a 2-bedroom, you got one in Edgewater.
I have something in Brickell City Center at Reach, just under $1 million, 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
So nice stuff.
Yeah, you're basically buying just above what the developer was selling it 10 years ago. So in pre-construction, right? So I don't think you could go wrong right now buying a condo at that price point. We're priced right. There's that same unit, they're asking $200,000 more for that same unit on a lower floor. So that's where the disparity is between sellers and buyers, because that's not a realistic number. And those properties will sit, and they have been sitting for over 300 days on the market, right? So that's kind of what you could buy in Edgewater. Your money goes a little further. You could buy a 3-bedroom. I have a 3-bedroom unit at Icon Bay. But again, they're still available, so they're not flying off the shelves.
And then how realistic are you seeing your sellers? And I know there's different types of sellers. There's the investor owner who might live in Spain and he's renting it out, and he all of a sudden realizes, I'm not getting the $8,000 a month I thought I was going to get for this unit. And then there's the end user who has a life event, death, divorce, and they have to leave. How realistic are your sellers being when you come to them and you say, hey, listen, you need to be priced 10 or 15% lower than the other unit who's in the same line here? Are they accepting of this reality?
Yeah, I mean, it's educating them. It's showing them what's available, showing them the market, showing them the trends. And I mean, you could only lay it out there for them. If they don't want to accept it, that's another thing, which some sellers are reluctant to do so. But I think that's our job as real estate agents, right? To educate sellers and kind of show them what's going on. If they want it, there's other sellers that don't have a need to sell, so they just want to let it sit there until one day someone comes in and buys it. That's a different story. But if you're a real seller in today's market for condos specifically, unless you have something extremely unique in your condo, but all the condos basically are the same. That's the thing with condos. If you have something on the 30th, it's 3011 and 2911, and they're both for sale. They're directly competing with each other. It's not like a house where every house is unique for the most part, right? So when there's, average building, what is 350 units in Brickell, and then you have 10 lines in a building. So 30 units per line. And if there's a few and you're directly competing, that's going to really and someone sells for much lower, that starts to bring your valuation down. Or if someone's selling for much lower, brings your valuation down. So with condos, it's a little different than single family homes. And that's why I think it's been trickling down because of everything that's been going on, macro and micro in Miami specifically.
So go Peter. And then we got to buy, sell, hold on $1 million in America.
David, I agree with you. I've been preaching the same word forever. I call condos commodities. I call houses works of art. And here's how the condo problems roll in on the single family. I make the argument that a lot of people live in horizontal in a house. They're making their money off of vertical in a condo, whether they're hawking condos or laying tile, they're doing interior design, they're property managers, or blah, 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 blah. They did the title. So as vertical goes bad, I would argue that has repercussions horizontally as far as what I call Kendallandia. So the people out in Kendallandia, they're actually probably doing something related to the vertical and all these investors who are parachuting in, and they're using them 2 or 3 or 4, 5 months a year. So that's how I think they're integrated. But the houses, from what I've seen in the past, houses go bad but the condos are they're the ones, they're the indicator, they're the canary in the coal mine from my perspective. Maybe it's different this time because we had so many people move in with all cash.
That's dangerous. Don't say maybe it's different this time.
I don't believe it is, but maybe some people do.
I think it's a little
so-
different. I like to be a little bit more optimistic than I know you guys are. I think it's a little different.
I'm
and
totally
if we
optimistic.
and-
Don't pit me in there with Peter. Peter, you're making me bearish.
I
Yeah,
know,
but-
I know,
but
Peter,
David-
a little bit more.
David, any truth? Can you see any truth, any validity what I'm saying? People living horizontal or living off of the people in the vertical?
I see what you're saying, but Miami's changing. I think Miami's, and this is an argument that we make. It's now there's actually people coming here that have industries, have businesses, whereas before, yes, everything relied on the South American buyer buying all these condos with little down because the developers were allowing it. And no one really had a profession here, right? There was no industries, there was no culture. I think Miami's changing a bit, and I wish that you could agree with that. I know you would agree with that. That Miami's
Well, I
changing for
agree
the
that we're
better.
the capital of content creators for OnlyFans, and I know that's a well-paying gig. And thanks to The Real Deal for documenting that and putting that on the record.
Peter, buy,
But-
sell, all on $1 million in America.
I'm a hard sell. Prices are overinflated. They need to come down 40%.
40%. But we're not just talking about condos. We're talking about everything.
Yeah, 40% across the board.
Wow.
And that would
Peter.
bring us back to pre-pandemic levels. That's where we need to be. I think you need to price it off of pre-pandemic and then simply add some sort of appreciation annually, 5%, 3%, 7%. And so that's my opinion. But I'm on the other side of the spectrum.
I'm holding it because I think like a lot of people, and I'm going to take a Peter quote, summer paralysis by analysis. I think we're still very much in it. Liberation Day tariffs, I don't even really know where we are with that at this point. There's a lot of uncertainty. Even the Miami Realtors is talking about uncertainty. When Miami Realtors isn't completely 1,000% rah, then something is afoot. David, I didn't make you a marker for this, but what are you? Are you buy, sell, or hold on $1 million in America?
I'll hold on this.
David's holding too. He's not completely bullish. You're rubbing off on him, Peter. But that
Sorry.
segues us